Hello, beautiful people. My name is Anika Bowie, and I have the honor to serve as the Vice President of the Minneapolis NAACP. It's a legendary organization rooted to making sure we are securing and protecting our equal rights, political, educational, social, economical. It started in the 1900s. During a time like this, when lynchings were rapid, white supremacy, Aryan culture, hatred was rapid, and a coalition of diverse people came together to advance the well-being of our lives, of all of our lives. Black folks united and utilized our gifts and our talents, like today, to celebrate and to honor and to invite everyone and engage everyone to make sure that our well-being is prioritized. And before I even go further, I want to just say, I thank you on behalf of the Minneapolis NAACP. We thank you for all of the families who stood up and was resistant and spoke out against a system of hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression.
We're here inside CNN Center. We're just in the last 10 minutes. Demonstrators have started to come up and down this thoroughfare of Marietta and break out windows of CNN Center. It was just a short time ago that they started shooting what appeared to be BBs at us. I was struck with a BB pellet. It's unreal to witness here, Chris. This police line, we just saw an officer extracted. An officer was down. We don't know exactly how they were injured. Another officer here that was standing on these steps took some glass in the arm. These demonstrators are ready to confront these law enforcement officers. You have law enforcement in heavy tactical gear, protesters that are, clearly ready. You just see something else happen there. Another demonstrator threw what appeared to be a large object at one of those SWAT officers.
You are fighting against a system that has attorneys. You are fighting against a system that has a constitution that was not designed or had us in mind. You are fighting against a system that has their PR directors, their strategic communication directors, that has all different type of people who are working around the clock. But you know what? You may be fighting against a system, but we have built a movement. A movement of people's power of thousands and thousands of years. I just want to be really straight with you, right? In the midst of George Floyd's murder, we all rose up and became our best selves. We all rose up and became our most lovable selves. We all rose up and became our most humane selves. We all rose up and became the protection that we did not get from the Minneapolis Police Department. We all rose up and became our best selves. We all rose up and became our most lovable selves. We all rose up and became our most humane selves. We all rose up and became the protection that we did not get.
And it's unfortunate. It's sad. People are there, truly there, to honor the memory of the decedent and the family. This isn't how you do it.
We all rose up and became our best selves. We all rose up and became our most lovable selves. We all rose up and became our most humane selves. We all rose up and became the protection that we did not get. We all rose up and became our best selves. We all rose up and became our most lovable selves. We all rose up and became our most humane selves. We all rose up and became the protection that we did not get. We recognize our greatness, and that should never be taken away from us. Not only do we recognize our greatness as Minneapolis residents, but we recognize our greatness as global citizens. I had the honor to be a fellow for the United Human Rights for People of African Descent. And what I learned, that people in Brazil are standing up and resisting from the same system that we see today. People in Paris are standing up and resisting from the same system of oppression and policing that we see today. People in Africa, people in Ethiopia, people all over across the nation, across the globe, this beautiful earth, this Mother Earth that we must honor. COVID-19 has taught us a very, very loving, humane lesson. That we can't take life for granted at all. And that we need to put our practices where our values are. And for unfortunately, the people, us, we have to be the models for MPD. We have to model what we want them to model back to us. We have to be the greater person, and guess what, y'all? We are. We are. We are. So I just want to share that the Minneapolis NAACP is standing in solidarity with you. This is my brother, PJ Hill. He also is the Vice President of the Minneapolis NAACP. We have Angela Rose with us as well, too, who's the President of the Minneapolis NAACP. We have Dr. Raj, as we know and love. Dr. Raj has been holding it down, the chair of the Criminal Justice Reform Committee, and we have a coalition, and most importantly, we have you. We have you, and we just want to say thank you for showing up, and we will be very persistent, very challenging the system, right? Being our best selves, right? Showing what love looks like, showing what care looks like, and showing what real public safety looks like, right? We don't pick and choose who we show up for.
Black-on-black crime. You can find it in almost any major city like Chicago, New York, or L.A., but Chattanooga is nowhere near the size, nor has the population of those cities. Yet violent crimes by African Americans against each other in Chattanooga, it's just as bad. In part one of his special report, Eric Avenier takes a deep look into black-on-black crime and its effect on the African American community. He joins us live in the studio to explain. Eric.
Well, as journalists, it's our job to report what's happening in our community, and unfortunately, we find ourselves covering black-on-black violence almost every other day. Now, before we begin, you need to know that in this report we're about to show you, it is very raw and emotional with language that some viewers may find offensive.
Crime scenes like this one play out almost every week in Chattanooga, and the story is usually the same. A disagreement between two black men or a group of African Americans that leads to violence. Some of the victims live, others die. No one knows this better than Celeste Woods. She says she'll never forget that horrible night.
And the next thing I know, I was getting a phone call and said, Damon has been shot, and could you come? And this is the area that I came to, out here. And when I came, there he was, the rope was taped around, and he was lying face down in the street.
To add insult to injury, Damon died on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day most Americans celebrate a man who stood for nonviolence, a day that carries more meaning for Woods.
It carries a very strong meaning, you know, that we need to get out and try to march and try to tell somebody, you know, it's not right. It's not right.
The shooting death of her son was the result of an earlier altercation with this man, Alex Smith, whom police later arrested and charged with murder. Current gang task force coordinator Boyd Patterson prosecuted Smith.
That particular case ended with a plea of guilty to manslaughter and a sentencing hearing. So that's what happened.
So why are we seeing more violence within the black community? And how does a disagreement quickly escalate to the need to attack or shoot someone?
For answers to those questions, we turn to a man who has ties to a local gang. Now, in full disclosure, for his protection and the protection of his family, we agreed to alter his voice and not show his face.
I'm guilty by association, you know what I'm saying? I ain't on no hood, I ain't on no set, but you know what I'm saying, the people that I hang around, you know what I'm saying, who I, you know what I'm saying, kick it with, they're my people, you know what I'm saying, they're my folk, they're my Kirk niggas, you know what I'm saying, that's how we rock it, so it is what it is.
He says the violence has more to do with personal egos and credibility.
Nowadays, you gotta go through more to prove yourself as a man and stand your ground as a man. So a lot of the times, you know, it get carried away real quick, and that's how a lot of this violence and the gunplay coming about.
He says some neighborhoods are war zones, and during a time of war, people get killed.
I don't been standing in the close line of me and you and seen the nigga get shot in the face. So, you know what I'm saying, it's crucial out here.
He also wanted to make it clear to young children to do something with their lives, to become a part of the solution and not perpetuate the problem.
Living this gangbangers lifestyle and the things that come with it, it ain't gonna get you too far, and it ain't gonna get you established in life the way you need to be.
Chicago's violent crime rate has been on the rise for several years, but 2016 has gotten off to an especially bloody start. During the week we recently spent in the city, 10 people were killed in shooting incidents and 88 were wounded.
Where we have a level of shooting and a level of gun violence that's unacceptable and must come to an end.
There's no stranger to gun violence and gang activity, but with increases of up to 60 to 70% in homicides and shootings, while alarm bells have been raised all over the city.
I view it as a disease. Like diseases spread, that's how this violence is spread, because I'm seeing it everywhere.
Gwen Baxter lost her son to gun violence 4 years after losing her husband in an officer-involved shooting.
Tell me about the loss of your child.
I got a call, like about 1 o'clock in the morning, telling me that Larry had been shot. He got shot in the back of his head and he died on the scene.
What did you do to emerge from that?
Like I said, I prayed and then I got angry. Well, I felt like I got to get up and do something. I got to do something.
We don't pick and choose who we show up for. We don't We don't show up for safety for just one type of race. We don't show up for justice just for one type of gender. We don't show up for protection just for one type of nationality or sexuality. Right? We gotta be bigger people, and we already are. And that's the announcement right there. I love you, everyone. Stand in solidarity.
Hold up, we want freedom, freedom. Kill these racist ass cops, we don't need them. Hold up, we want freedom, freedom. All these racist ass cops, we don't need them.
In more news, an article in the Wall Street Journal last week spotlighted a topic often ignored in the nation: the alarming abortion rate for African Americans in the United States. Wall Street Journal columnist Jason Riley wrote a piece last week titled, "Let's Talk About the Black Abortion Rate." Riley explored how in New York City, thousands more black babies are aborted than born alive each year. And he highlighted how on the national level, black women terminate pregnancies at far higher rates than other women. Look at these numbers. In 2014, black women made up 13% of the U.S. female population, but 36% of all abortions were performed on black women. I spoke on this exact topic, the alarming black abortion rate, with a pro-life leader earlier this year. Pastor Clennard Howard Childress Jr. is senior pastor of New Calvary Baptist Church and assistant to the director at Learn, the Life Education and Resource Network. He coined the phrase that the most dangerous place for an African American is in the womb. We go now to our interview with Pastor Childress to hear why.
Well, first, it's not hyperbole. It's not a radical rant from a right-wing reverend. It is a sociological fact. 52% of all African American pregnancies end in abortion, 1,786 a day. And since 1973, over 20 million African Americans have been killed by abortion alone. So it is not anything to be used lightly. It is a sociological fact, and it's happening on our watch, and I'm grieved over that.